Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is Spartan Coach's Corner here in Boardman. We are at Spartans Giving, which is incredible. We're here with Justine Cullen, the state championship coach of the Boardman Spartan bowling team. Congratulations, Coach, as always.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's start here. Let's talk about Spartans Giving, what it means to you, what it means to this community, and kind of what's going on here today.
Oh, it's an incredible event. One, thank you guys for coming out.
Sure.
We love this kind of exposure. It's so nice of you guys to do. And the athletic department, I mean, really just a top-tier event. You know, they've been doing, like, we had the March Madness in the fall. And I love these kind of events just to get all the winter sports together because we've had a lot of success, our winter programs in the past. And it's just nice to be able to kind of share these moments together, especially before the season's really underway and it gets crazy and hectic. And the community, like for Youngstown Barbecue, just to donate all that, it's just amazing. We're very fortunate to live where we are and have that kind of thing happen to us. Not irregularly either. Like, it's pretty common.
It's kind of interesting because from a perspective of Boardman gets a lot of recognition across the board because the school's so large in this area, one of the larger schools in the area. But you coach a sport that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition at all. How do you juggle that? I mean, and obviously with a state championship, you know, with all due respect, you kind of still went under the radar with it. I mean, how do you deal with that, and how do you continue to let your kids know that, hey, it's going to be there, and all the success that you push for, because your kids work just as hard as every other sport, and obviously bring home the hardware as well.
Well, really, that is taken care of by the place that we are. Yeah. I mean, this school, I say it every year at our banquet, we are very fortunate. Boardman has, even when we were a club, has always treated bowling just like everything else. And when I tell you the utter excitement from everybody in this place, from admin to the teachers to parents of kids, just all across the board, I mean, it wasn't like only people in our community knew, like in our bowling community. I mean, it was widespread across. The amount, I want to say after we won, I had like 87 text messages. Our principal, Mr. Zura, he was there the whole time along with Mr. Marinucci.
Wow.
They lived every moment with us. We live streamed it on Facebook. I mean, we had hundreds of people watching it as it was happening. You know, people really invest in it. And it's a really cool thing because, like you said, it tends to be one of those niche-y outskirt sports that doesn't really receive a lot of attention. Yeah. But this school has never treated it that way. It's treated it like it's one of the major ones. And just the way that we were received and the amount of, you know, praise that we got, and like Mr. Zura arranged for the kids to be clapped in when they came back from school, just really made these kids feel like rock stars. And every single person in the community did. Like, people know who they are now. And that's rare. Like, we bowl against a lot of schools from a lot of different areas. They don't get that kind of Class A treatment that we do.
Talk to me about, I mean, a roster full of champions, essentially.
I like that. That's what I'm going to start calling them.
How do you kind of, I guess, justify from a standpoint of, okay, you win a championship, now you got to run it back, which is one of the hardest things to do. How do you do that? How do you keep them motivated? And in bowling, which is such a you versus you sport.
Right. Well, my overarching message to them at the beginning of the year, because I told them, you're going to get a lot of that talk. You're going to get a lot of, because all my starters are back. You're going to get a lot of, you're going to run it back. You got to run it back. And our brand, when we do the best, we just focus on the here and the now. We take it at a moment at a time. We don't look to the future. Yeah. And that was what we did at State. Like, we walked into that day. When you the door, you're in the top 16 in the state in Division I.
Yep.
But the mentality was never like, we've got to go win this thing. It was like, all right, we're going to go out there, we're going to do our thing. When things go wrong, we'll come back, we'll talk about it, we'll pick each other up, and then we'll on to the next. And that's what they do so well. Like, they don't get into a quicksand. When things go wrong, they get frustrated, but they're all really good at picking each other up. And the overarching message this year was we just continue to be us. We try to get better every day. You know, the other stuff takes care of itself. It's a frame at a time, it's a moment at a time, and whatever happens, happens. If you put in the work, you'll get rewarded.
Naturally, though, I mean, as a coach, you've got to have that fine line between that pat on the back and the kick in the tail.
Yes.
How do you kind of manage that from a perspective? Because, again, bowling is different mentally than it is to get on a basketball court or the gridiron, or, I mean, you've got to be locked in, and some, I'm sure some bowlers are a lot more loose, some a lot more kind of stringent and tight. Do you still have to, like, as a coach and as a leader, have to figure out what works for each individual person on your roster?
Oh, absolutely. I would honestly say with bowling, it's very similar to golf. The majority of your job is managing mentalities. And, like, my state champion, Kate Greenaway, is a prime example. Like, you can push her a little bit. You can, like, be a little rough on her.
Yeah.
Other girls need a little more patience and understanding, and, you know, you kind of have to tailor it to each kid. But her and Marissa Funk, who's equally as talented as she is, you know, when they start getting frustrated, you know, I'll push them a little bit. The other girls sometimes, but then sometimes I scale back and let them have moments. So it's really about tailoring to each kid's different mentality in order to get the best out of them.
Expectations. Obviously, you know, once you win a state, the expectations are getting back and run, like you said, run it back. What are your expectations for this year's roster and this year's team, and how do you manage those expectations?
I fully believe we could win the whole thing again. That is a genuine belief. Now, you never know what happens when you get there.
Yep.
Like, we've had good fortune that if we qualify again this year, that will be our 6th consecutive state berth. So we have been there a lot of times.
Wow.
And when you walk in that door, everybody's pretty equally matched at that point. So it's about making the cut and just advancing after you do. And anything can happen. So, I mean, obviously we can lose, but we can just as easily win. I believe wholeheartedly that we can win. I fully expect us to be back there. Now, what happens after we're back there? You know, it's one day, who knows? But the potential is 100% there. We were at a tournament this past weekend in Columbus, and we were going up against all the teams I know we will see. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we going into the playoff portion, we were the top seed. So, I mean, we're definitely poised for it. It's just a matter of making sure all the pieces are in the right place at the right time.
So I'm going to ask a question because I'm trying to think about how to not be offensive with this. Like, so in football, basketball, you're in the weight room, you're doing all this stuff. Like, how do you get better at bowling? Is it just rep work? What is it?
A lot of it's rep work. One of the big things, like, that I kind of preach at the start of practice, I equate it to basketball. So when you do basketball, you, like, practice free throw shooting.
Yep.
A big thing for me in bowling is the corner pins. So the 7 is the one that's in the corner on the left side.
Okay.
The 10 is the one that's on the right. Those are left frequently even when you throw a good ball, and it's called bury the pocket. So when you bury the pocket, oftentimes you'll leave those pins.
Okay.
Those are the ones that those spares are the ones that end up making a difference. And they're easily missable just because of the nature of how you have to throw it. So the beginning of practice, a lot of the time is, okay, we got to get 3 in a row of these, 3 in a row of these before we move on to different things.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it's trying to alter technique. Because it's very similar to golf. Everybody's a little different.
Yep.
So a lot of it is, okay, we're going to manage release this way, and we're going to talk about speed here. And then, like, day of tournaments, a lot of it is managing equipment use. Like, my 2 best bowlers, they carry with them 7 balls at any given moment. And each one reacts differently depending on the oil pattern.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So, like, a lot of the
Wow.
times it's like Kate last year, it ended up being the difference. She actually threw a ball at state for the very first time in her like tournament life.
Yeah.
And we had talked about it, and I was like, I think this is the move. And it was. It got her to the promised land.
Oh my gosh.
And, you know, those little things make a big difference. So a lot of it's that, and then with the young kids, trying to develop the basics, like the walk and the stance and all those different, like the release. Release is big, because until you have the release down right, you're not going to get the reaction you want.
Student athletes, obviously, students always going to be first. So how do you continue to maintain that high expectation that they have here at Boardman for? Obviously, you're a leader, a state champion,
Yeah.
but you also have to be a state champion in the classroom as well. I mean, what are your expectations for them in the class?
Oh, you're talking about my favorite part. I love to talk about this. My varsity roster has an average GPA of 3.8.
Wow.
And I have 2 girls right now that are sitting at 4.0s that are seniors.
Oh, my goodness.
So when it comes to my team, I don't have to worry about grades too much.
I love that.
They're very type A. Last year, one of my girls actually, like, was nervous to leave for state because she didn't want to miss, like, her physics class. I mean, this is the kind of girls that I got. You know, they're very that's why it's so fun and so easy. They don't need to be told things like that. You know, and even when I need something, it's like they know I'm going to need it, they just do it. And that has really been a blessing with this group in particular. But they're incredibly smart. They blow me away every day.
I've talked to so many people about why things are so different at Boardman. It just feels different. There's a difference in culture. There's a difference in expectations, which we've talked about at length. For you, what makes you so proud to coach here?
Oh, you would be hard-pressed to find any other district that supports its people, the way, and especially in athletics.
Yeah.
Like, as long as I've been here, my athletic directors have been Denise Gorski, Marco Marinucci, and now Jeff Hamilton. You literally can't get 3 better people that work hard to put you out, show up to everything. It could be tiddlywinks, they're going to be there. And, you know, we've been fortunate to hire really good people. Like, everybody that works, because I teach here.
Yep.
And everybody that works here and teaches here is all here for the right reasons. Like, we just love kids. We're all about boardmen. You know, we're all out here trying to do the right thing by them. And that's really what makes it different. Like, you talk to other coaches of bowling teams, and they're like, yeah, my AD doesn't care. He doesn't come to anything. He doesn't fix any of my problems. Like, my guys are on it. My principal's at everything.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Zur is just an amazing support for this program. And it's not just him. Every one of them. Ms. Bott, Mr. Sheehan, Mr. Jadu. I mean, everyone's all in on everything here. And I think that's the difference. You can't make one thing feel more special than the other. You got to make it feel like a very even spread community.
That's incredible. State champion, head coach, Justine Cullen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Look at the ring. You got it. Rocking it.
Yeah,
I love it. She brought the hardware.
I mean, if you're going to get it, you might as well wear it.
That's
you know what I mean?
it. Back after this. Back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very special Spartan Coach's Corner here from actually Boardman High School. And we're here at Spartans Giving with the head swimming and diving coach here at Boardman, Carlo Corden, who is, 6 years at the helm of this program, but you said you've been coaching for over 30 years. Walk me through how you get started. Obviously, you had to be a good swimmer or a diver at that point. Walk me through how you get started into the coaching atmosphere.
It really starts with the program. We call it our culture. And even back when I was swimming, Coach Terry O'Halloran created a culture where we all enjoyed being a part of it. And when I graduated high school, I was an average swimmer at best. I was not quite as talented as the kids we have today. That might be the training's changed a lot.
Yeah.
But I loved it enough so that, when I came back from college, he offered me the coaching job over at BTSC summer program, and I said, absolutely, I'd love to do it. And from that point on, I've been hooked. We coached forever together. And then after Coach O'Halloran retired, I stepped right in, and I've got some great coaches around me now, so we just try to keep that ball moving in the right direction.
The maroon and white runs through your veins. I mean, you love it here at Boardman. Naturally, everybody loves you. I've heard so many stories about you have to interview Coach Corden. You have to We're finally here. What is it about Boardman that stands out to you?
Well, I tell you what, it's the family, the community, the students. I'm also a teacher over at Glenwood Junior High School. And, growing up here, watching some of the kids come back, it's not just the swimming alumni, but the other sports alumni. When they come back, they just want to see how the Boardman kids are doing. Just today, we had practice. We had a 4-hour practice in the weight room, then at the pool. Yet, we still had 3 collegiate swimmers come back. And, they wanted to train with their high school buddies from the past, and we always welcome them in. And so just seeing that connection to those that have moved on, like myself and some of my assistant coaches, just wanting to give back to the team, giving back to Boardman in any way possible is always just a plus.
Boardman has an incredible roster of legacy that was in that pool in some form or another. When you think about it, I know personally the Gassatians,
Of course, yes.
you think about, what these young superstars have done in the pool to now what they're doing in life. For you, that's got to be a great joy, but the correlation between the hours, you said a 4-hour practice on the day before Thanksgiving, it correlates to real life, because if you want something, you got to go get it.
That's absolutely correct. And, most of the kids that come into our program, they're prepped. They're either coming out of our summer teams or some of the local club programs around here. And, when we get them at the high school, the program is the program. We lay it out ahead of time. We have goals that we set beginning of the season for what we would like our team to do. That we also set personal goals for each individual kid as well. So we meet with them. They come up with goals that they want to set, whether it's a daily goal or a long-term goal for the end of the season. And probably one of the most special things that, we think our kids do is we do something for our community. We have micro teams inside our team. So we have 3 micro teams on our swim team. And all 3 of those teams actually have to do something for their community, whether it's working in a soup kitchen downtown Youngstown. We do some things for Akron Children's Hospital. Right now, our seniors are working on things for what they want to do this year. But we think once they all do this. They train hard, they work hard, they're giving back. Once they leave our program, they become the leaders of our community down the road. It's great to see, for instance, you brought up the Gassatians. They were incredible athletes. Kevin was an incredible baseball player, and we loved watching him on the ball field, and he would come back and train for us and do really well. His brother Dave was fantastic too. So we don't mind crossing different sports. We think that makes a better athlete. And I always look at it this way: if now they're on the football field and they're doing the stuff that they have to do on the football field, and they come and swim with us, or vice versa. We're making a better athlete, and we're making a better swimmer, and possibly a better football player too.
Outside of once every 4 years, swimming and diving doesn't get a whole lot of attention. I mean, when you're making the pitch and you're recruiting the hallways and you're recruiting, in the pools, essentially. I mean, what things do you have to talk about with? I mean, you talk about sharing kids with other sports. That's got to be a challenge sometimes because
Sure.
the ideas of grandeur on the gridiron and on the basketball court, on the baseball diamond, things of that nature. You're competing essentially at some point, but these kids love being in that pool. How do you recruit, so to speak, to get those kids on your roster?
Well, I think it's the greatest trick. Someone said it might have been a year ago. They're like, Coach, we started playing a lot of games as an 8 and under, and then we played relay races, and we always had free breakfast, and then all of a sudden we hook them into the high school and it becomes a little more work. And that is the trick, is we try to – there's a lot of very talented swimmers. And, to be honest, the area is lacking in facilities. So swimming in general is a very foreign sport for most kids in Boardman, all around the community, and just because we just don't have facilities. So recruiting them becomes very difficult. And I try to grab kids all the time, especially since I'm at the junior high school. But most kids are, they're just not – they don't know how to swim. We are patient with them. We like to get them on there. We do have a lane where, we call it a developmental lane, where we just try to show them the basics, hook them in. They start to like it a lot. They become part of the family. And, after half a season, they love this sport and they want to move on. I'm very lucky that I have a summer club at Applewood Swim Club. And my assistant coach, Mark Brooks, he's a coach over at Boardman Tennis and Swim Club. And we also get some kids from Firestone area swim club, and those 3 summer teams basically are feeder teams, and we get 99% of our kids from those 3 teams. And every now and then we just get an outlier that just wants to try diving or they want to try swimming, and they really turn out to be great athletes for us too. Retention's very good. We usually don't lose kids once they get in there, but we're always looking at building. We're not, we do not like to rest on laurels of the past. That's
Sure.
The one thing we say is, we always want to strive for something else. So we're always trying to push forward and trying to make our program better, a little more richer, deeper in talent. So we're always looking for new things to do.
Let's talk about that roster and expectations for this year's club. Talk to me about what you feel, your strengths, some of the challenges you might see this year in the pool, and naturally where you think you guys are going to be headed.
All right, I'll start with my guys' side. My boys' side, I graduated a couple really strong swimmers. They were very multi-dimensional. They could swim anything. But what I do have left behind, do have, Matthew Amidal, who's a senior. He was a state qualifier last year in 2 relays. I really lit it up. He was probably one of the greatest swims I've seen. And I've been doing this for a long time. But, his relay splits last year at districts and going into the state meets just show us that he's got the ability to even go faster this year. He's a little stronger than he was. A little more, putting a little more time into the weight room. I think he's going to fly. I do have sophomore Zach Mioch returning. He's also state qualifier last year in those same 2 relays. And he's put a lot of work in, to the point he was practicing at 6 in the morning, long course every day, hitting the weight room. And he's a grinder. He's our first sophomore captain on this high school team in 40 years. So, it just shows, what people around him, they respect him and what he could do. We also have returning, he's a 3-time state qualifier on the diving boards, R.J. Keating. He's recovering from, he actually broke his foot at the state meet last year in one of his dives, and he still dove through, and he actually had a fracture in his spine as well. And he had back surgery in the offseason, and he's ready to go this year. So I think he's ready to go. Last year he was just a little timid just because that back was hurting him so much. But now he's pain-free for the most part, and he's ready to become a 4-time state qualifier in diving. So, boys teams first, we have, our theme for this year on the guys side is basically next man up. We've got a scrappy group of boys that are ready to just jump in a spot. That's, Jack Benson. We've got a boy named Dominic White, Grant Parker. We've got a new young man, Carter Yoakum. So we got quite a few other boys that are just, itching and crawling and, fighting to get in one of those spots on the relays. So, we just have to wait and see. We have a maroon and white meet on on Friday, our first dual meet on Tuesday. So once we get some times, we'll know where we can start putting some of the guys.
It's incredible. I mean, just to fight through the adversity of an injury like that.
Absolutely.
They talk about how, I heard it once, I'm not sure I believed it, but it made sense that you don't see very many injuries in the pool because of the fluidity and all that stuff. It's science. Let's just put it there. But broken leg or broken foot, and then you said a spinal injury?
Yes. The foot was an impact fracture, and then RJ grew so quick in 1 year, like close to 6-7 inches in 1 year, that just a little bit of a fracture just from like the growing and the diving.
Goodness
and it just never could heal. And so right near the end of the year is when it really bothered him, and it got to the point where he either had to have it fixed or he was going to have to probably stop diving. And this is his thing; he loves it. So we talked to Mom. We talked about what the best course of action, and it always comes down to the individual. Like, listen, we want him to be pain-free. And if that means diving is have to put on the side for a year, no problem. But, just happen to work out. He could have the surgery and, mend. And he played soccer as well for the Spartans, so he was okay, ready to go.
That's incredible. Hey, listen, don't tell me the swimmers and divers aren't tough. That's incredible. How do you keep the focus? And obviously there's a lot of distractions this time of year with the holidays and things of that nature. I don't think it's necessarily hard. It's not like wrestling where you're trying to put on as much weight and then lose as much weight. For swimming and diving, you put them in that pool, they're going to lose as much weight as you want them to lose. And probably, with everything that they put into their body, they're using that as energy constantly. So
right.
How do you keep their focus? How do you keep their weight where you want it? Do you have to do that with keeping their weight?
Yeah, for the kids themselves, we call this Slowvember for a reason. They're sluggish, they're tired, they might be a little irritable at times. But like for instance today, we had an 8 o'clock practice, and then we at the weight room, and then we hit the pool for 2 hours. But little things like this, this little Friendsgiving at Boardman, thanks for the donations of all that food. They could not wait to get here.
Bet.
I just, they kept saying, Coach, we're really hungry. And I said, I know, don't worry, there's going to be plenty of food. But these are the little perks. Personally, when I walk onto the pool deck with these kids, it makes my day complete. They're great kids to work with. I think I'm very lucky. So for me, I get tired. It does take me away from my family. There's things I do. I have to work out on my own. I work out before school. That's my way of clearing my mind and starting a new day. So if there's something bugging me, whether it's, school issue or maybe it's training or, pool time. Pool time's at a premium for us, and sometimes I have to clear my mind, and working out for me is what I have to do too. But for the kids, for the most part, as we start hitting the competition season, which literally starts next week, there's not as much training, and they get to start seeing the rewards of all the stuff that they put in. For instance, I talked about my guys team for a second. My girls team is, I got a lot of kids returning from our little state run last year. And they're great. I got a nice, heavy senior group. They know what their expectations are. They want to get back to the big dance. Gina DiNapoli's a 2-time state qualifier. Abby Mihawk, she was there last year. Alex Taylor, my sophomore, she's quite the talented swimmer. She's coming back. And Petra Cernak. It's a great group of girls. And then I've got a lot of girls around them, like Ella Miller, Julia Pickens. I got some great divers, Maisie Kaufman, who's also returning back. She had knee surgery, but she will be back on the boards here very soon. So it's about balancing all of that. So it's never, every day's a challenge, but it's not a challenge that can't be fixed. It's usually, someone's sick or someone might be hurt. Our pool shut down. Where do we go? And I've learned a long time ago, you try to fix the things you can and don't let the things you can't bother you because you just can't fix them.
Control the controllables, right?
Exactly.
This is a very special time of year, obviously, for everybody involved with this Spartans Giving, which is phenomenal. We're seeing everybody disperse. Everybody's leaving with a nice belly full of food, 90 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
What does Thanksgiving mean to you, and what are you thankful for this year?
You know, it's Thanksgiving to me, I love spending time with my family and my friends. I do this. It's become one of my favorite holidays. Our family comes together. We do a very large feast at my house. We have 4 turkeys
Oh my
that we're going to cook up, 2 deep fried, 2 smoked. That's what I look forward to. My family loves coming over. So I'm always thankful for those moments with my family, my friends, my team, the coaches around here. It's just, to me, it's great to be off for a day. We just have one day off, which is tomorrow. We're back in the water Friday, but even just that 24 hours where the kids are with their families and we're with ours, it's just a special time and it's a recharge of batteries.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you for the Thanksgiving draft. So what's going on the plate? What's the first pick, second, and third?
Okay, so first pick, I'm actually doing a brisket as well. That's going to be number 1 for me.
Oh my goodness!
And then the deep fried turkey number 2, smoked turkey number 3, and everything else could go to everyone. Those are the 3 things I focus on. But, of course, I'm more of a meat guy, so that's what I stick with.
I love it. So what's for dessert?
Well, we got pecan, you got pumpkin, apple pie, we got cookies, you name it. We got about 40, 50 people coming over.
Coach, God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much
too.
for the
It's
time.
great seeing you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Spartan Coaches Corner here at Boardman High School. We are at Spartans Giving here today. Big things going on at Boardman High School, as always. But we're here with the brand spanking new basketball coach for the Lady Spartans, Annie Pavlansky. Annie, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we got to start. Everybody knows when you're dealing with a Pavlansky, you're dealing with the top of the coaching tree. For you to take this job at Boardman, what does it mean to you?
I'm so honored that they even chose me and considered me for this role. It's been such a great program, and they've set such a great expectation, great tradition, and I'm just hoping to carry that moving forward.
It was so nice to be able to watch you kind of grow into this position, and naturally we're looking for all the expectations of a Pavlansky, which is championship caliber, and I don't think that you shy away from that. You have high expectations for these girls this year.
Yeah, absolutely, and the coaching staff before me and years prior set that same expectation for the girls as well, so it's really not much of an adjustment, really. I mean, personality-wise, it's a different name, different voice, but the expectation has always been high for them, and that's what we're planning on doing moving forward.
A lot of championship caliber basketball played last year. The baton being passed, obviously, from Coach Hamilton to you, and from the Riccatelli era on to what you have now. What are the challenges and what are the expectations? Do they change at all?
I don't think the expectations change at all. I think we're still trying to work hard every single day to get better. We're competing no matter what, playing hard, playing together. We're really stressing all of those things that we have control over. But as far as moving on from the Riccatelli era, we know that we have big shoes to fill. But I think our girls are up for that challenge. Coaches are up for the challenge, and we're all learning our new roles and how that's going to go moving forward. But I'm just so proud of the girls so far and how they've responded to our messages that we're trying to send them, and how they really are growing and getting better every day.
Nice start to the season. Sarah Barrow showing her leadership that we saw blossom toward the end of the season last year. Walk me through who we have big expectations for the Spartans this year.
Yeah, it's nice that we have 2 returning starting players, and then Ava Freeborough and Sarah Barrow are going to be big leaders for us. Tori Strines is also a varsity player last year. Came off the bench last year, but she'll be a big player for us this year. And then Michaela Rivera growing into her role this year. She got some varsity experience last year, but she's going to have a bigger role to fill, especially this year as a guard. But I think we have some good energy off the bench. We're young and experienced a little bit at the same time, but they're also learning to play together. And yeah, they're just responding to everything we're telling them, and they're working hard and trying to push each other in practice.
Competition obviously huge here at Boardman. You're playing the biggest schools. You have the biggest rivals. Everybody wants a piece of the Spartans. For you, you don't necessarily have to have the pep talk every game in the locker room. It's you go out there when you dress in that maroon and white. There are expectations for you. How do you keep the kids focused, especially this time of year with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up and New Year's? How do you keep the girls focused on what the task is at hand?
Yeah, I think just never shying away, not taking any of the little things for granted and stressing all those. We're stressing practicing good habits, practicing game speed, even the things that seem maybe monotonous or drills that might seem monotonous. Those are habits that we want to fall back on moving forward throughout the season when we get in those tough times. During games, basketball is a long season. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's going to be ups and downs, but if we can stay consistent in all of the fundamentals we're trying to stress to them, the good habits that we're hopefully practicing every day, I think that's where we want to be moving forward.
I think I know the answer to this question, but as a young coach, when you run into a wall or you run into a situation where you feel challenged and sometimes it's in a dark room and you don't feel like there's any way out, where do you go? Who do you talk to have those conversations to get you through this inaugural season?
Yeah, I think I feel very, very blessed and very lucky. I have a lot of support around me. As far as within my family, it's definitely my dad that I'm talking to. My uncles are experienced coaches as well that are awesome. I have my Uncle Dave here in the building at Boardman High School, and then having Hamilton as an athletic director here who was in my shoes last year, and they've all have a lot more experience than I do and a lot of good advice to offer and things to think about. So I feel like I have a lot of different options as far as people who I need to bounce some things off of.
You sure do. I was hoping that was going to be the answer, but you just never know. So we're in the midst tomorrow, Thanksgiving, as we record this. What are you thankful for this year?
I'm thankful for my family, my friends. I'm thankful for all of our girls, really, like K-12. We've had a great youth season in the fall. We're in the midst of our youth league right now in the winter. Our junior high seasons are just getting started. All the players, parents, coaches, from top to bottom, I feel really, really lucky to be surrounded by, and especially I think my coaching staff at the high school level at least. I feel very, very lucky to have them and that they were able to join us. And they've just been nothing but an amazing addition and a great resource for the girls.
So let's describe your coaching style and what people can expect on the sideline this year. Is it going to be stomping? Is it going to be cool, calm, and collected? What do we have to expect from you, Coach?
I think in general I'm usually pretty cool, calm, and collected. I definitely that's not to say that I'm not competitive, and you'll see some of that fire at times. But in general, pretty cool, calm, collected. I can feel my competitive juices flowing. Where it's really hard to be a coach sometimes, knowing that all you can do is put the girls in those situations, and then ultimately they have to execute and do the thing. So the fact that I'm not a player anymore and I can't really step onto the court and do it for them makes it a little bit challenging, but it's been a lot of fun so far.
How has your leadership changed from being on the floor, like you just mentioned, to now you're leading the huddle?
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, but I think also just knowing that I treat myself as an equal. I look at myself as an equal to all of my coaches. So whoever has the ideas, I'm willing to have anybody, I guess, lead that huddle. Sometimes I think it's a very healthy thing for the girls where it can get tiring to hear the same voice over and over again. So to have that assistant coach or whoever it is, leading the huddle, getting a different voice, different ideas, different opinions is always a good thing. It's all a collaboration.
Annie, congratulations on getting the gig. We're so excited for you, so excited to watch you and certainly have another conversation with you. Congratulations. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is Spartan Coach's Corner here for the boys basketball team. We're here with the first-year head coach here with the Spartans, Steve Flores. DJ Yoakley with you. And Coach, first off, welcome. We're so appreciative to have you and set aside some time for us today. We're here at Spartans Giving. First time I've been a part of this and seen this. This has been an absolute treat. Talk to me about why this is so important to your squad.
Anything you can do to promote team building and connection with the community. This is an event that's not just a basketball event. It's an event for all the winter sports. You have administration here.
You saw some of our fall coaches here helping out. So anything to help bring the school, the community together is just it's a no-lose situation.
Spartan Hoops is something that people cherish from feels like across the country, when they're watching on YSN. For you, this had to be a crown jewel kind of job that you've kind of applied for, got, and now you're sitting here. Are there nerves? I mean, people always ask me if I get nervous when the camera goes on. Are there nerves when the lights go on and it gets real?
No, not really. Not nerves. I mean, more just excitement. We're less than a week from the first game. Guys in practice, or you can see them sort of wear on each other when you're just going against the same guys every day, working hard. Everybody's in the gym getting after it. So I think everybody's just more excited than nervous, We're looking forward to getting on the court at Uniontown next Tuesday, that's for sure.
What appealed to you about being the head ball coach here in Boardman?
I'm not a Boardman grad. I'm from East Liverpool originally, but I've made my home here. My family has made their home here. My kids go to school here. Both my kids, my daughter's a sophomore in high school, plays volleyball, so she's involved at the high school. My son's 7th grader. So I've been involved in both basketball programs from the youth level with them coming up, and my wife teaches here. Now I'm teaching here, so to be coaching at a great school like this, to have the support, and just fully be immersed in the community, it's just a big honor.
To be able to be a Potter and the pomp and circumstance that comes with Potter Nation down in East Liverpool, basketball, big deal down there, obviously.
Absolutely.
And it's the same here in Boardman. It very much mirror images of each other in many capacities. You can still be able to tell your team and your squad what to expect on any given night here. How do you? That's got to be still a thrill to come through. You hear the band, which is huge here up in the bleachers, playing those songs. Not everybody has a pep band anymore. What is the atmosphere? What drives you, each game in and out, and some of the pomp and circumstance that you experience?
High school sports is just so special. I mean, even, going to Friday night football games, hearing the drums, the band, everything, there's just nothing like that. And it's the same here. A Friday night conference game, whether it's Canfield, Austintown, Warren, or Howland coming in here, you always get a big crowd. And like you said, just hearing that band getting ready to go, that gives you goosebumps. And, like we tell the kids, shouldn't be any motivational talks needed. Like, it's Friday night. In the middle of January, you should be ready to go because this is exciting. This is why you play the game.
Talk to me about the top of your roster. I mean, the guys that we expect to see a lot on YSN, and the expectations you have for your squad this year.
Yeah, I mean, we have high expectations. The last couple seasons, we've been in so many games, just haven't been able to finish them. Those teams played extremely hard too. We're just kind of trying to get over that hump of being able to finish games. Probably a little different style this year. We're looking to really get up and down, push the ball, pressure people. We have, I believe, 7 returning lettermen. Some of our standout seniors from last year. Terrell McDowell was an all-league player. Grayson Eichert, Caden Mayhew. Then we also have some younger guys coming up too. Some juniors: Vince Butto, Ryan Smith, sophomore Jace Varley. Also. Yeah, I mean, everybody will know the name Zach Haas.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in, basketball may not be his first thing, being the quarterback, but there are very few kids I've coached that play harder than he does, so he always has an impact on the game. So I feel like we have a good mix of experience, upperclassmen, and some younger guys that are going to come and make a name for themselves this year.
Obviously, your first year in the role, but you've got Pat that it's probably been super supportive because he understands the Boardman community. Have you had to lean on him at all? What kind of conversations have you guys had?
I mean, I couldn't ask for really a better situation to step into. Having worked for Pat for, the last 4 or 5 years, and, him still being around, I text or call him probably once a day. Not necessarily about basketball stuff, but, a lot of the stuff that comes with being the head coach,
right.
Whether it's ordering gear or, helping organize events like this, Maroon and White Night, and he's been great. He's stepped up big time in helping with our youth program. Kind of, he's provided that opportunity to kind of take that off my plate where, he's obviously done it, and I was right there with him, but, he's taken a lot of that off of me. And, I got to thank my wife, Jen. She's done a ton. The extra stuff, the paperwork, everything, she's helped out a lot. So I'm grateful for those two.
Alumni love Spartan basketball. If they haven't tuned in or they haven't seen this team for a long time, what should they expect from the 2024-2025 Spartans?
I mean, we're going to play hard. We're going to play hard and compete. We may not be the biggest team every night. We may not be, the quickest team every night. But, like I tell these boys, when we walk off the court that night, that next morning, that other team's going to feel that they played against the Spartans, because, our goal is to be the best in shape team every single night, to be the most physical team, and just have the team with the most energy. So, we're looking to try to wear people down. We feel like we have the bodies to do that. 24
hours, less than 24 hours now away from Thanksgiving here in 2024. Coach, what are you thankful for?
I just, we were the last team to practice before we had this tonight. And, before we came in here, I told the boys, Thanksgiving means a little bit to everybody. It means something different to everybody, I'm truly grateful to have this job and to have this group of boys to coach this year. They're so coachable, and I treat them like they're my own kids. Sometimes that's making telling them things they might not want to hear, but
sure.
It's always in their best interest. So I'm grateful to have this opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to this season.
Coach, good luck to you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Steve Flores, head ball coach here at Boardman. Back after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Spartan Coaches Corner live here from Boardman High School. DJ Yoakley with you at Spartans Giving. Big deal here at Boardman. The first time they've done it across all winter sports, and we are joined by the head wrestling coach here for the third year. He makes his entry into the Spartan Gymnasium. And ladies and gentlemen, nobody better, Mr. Haiti. My guy, forever. Dude, you remember when we started this thing? You were a football coach at Latonia,
yeah,
right?
We're talking like 2015, 16 maybe?
We were 17. But you were one of the most you believed in what we did from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you might be the only person that is more busy than I am. And I just am baffled about how – we were just talking about it. How do you do what you do? Because you are just constantly 24/7, 365 on the go.
Yep.
How do you do this and as, on top of everything else that you do?
I think anybody that coaches,
yeah.
anyone, and whatever level it is, there has to be a certain amount of love for it.
Yeah.
And I think you just, you enjoy it so much that you just don't give it up. You find yourself, 20 years down the road and you're still doing it.
34 years down the road.
Yeah, 34. But, like we preach to the kids time management. One of, our primary goal with our wrestling program is, number one, is to help make the kids become better people. So we preach time management to them all the time.
Yeah.
The importance of being to practice on time or early, being ready to go on time. So, time management has been a big part of, how I've been able to do what I do in my personal life, in my business life, and as a coach. I manage to the minute. It's kind of hard at times, but, if you really want to do it, you make it work.
Let's talk about the roster. I mean, Boardman Spartan's a big deal around here, wrestling especially. Talk to me about what you have on the roster this year.
Real nice roster. Numbers are great. We implemented a little bit of a program where we were trying to rebuild in year one. So we had a 3-year plan. And then after the 3-year was a 5-year, but the 3-year plan was to get participation up. So that was one of our primary goals. So right now we started this season with 58 kids. We unfortunately had to make some cuts, believe it or not. I never, as a wrestling coach, DJ, I never thought I'd ever say I had to make cuts.
That's a good thing, though.
It is a good thing. The problem with it is you never know if you got that diamond in the rough. There's that time to develop. But, a lot of the kids can't. We had some first-time sophomores, first-time juniors, and unfortunately we had to make cuts, honestly, because we just didn't have enough coaches.
Right.
So, we were trying to keep our coach-to-wrestler ratio as low as possible. So, we're down now. We cut it down to 50, and right now we're working with about 46, 47 kids.
Wow.
So we have a couple kids that are already injured, but they were first-year kids, so they're kind of out. But we're about 46, 47 right now.
Expectations for the year?
Always high. Always set the bar high and expectations high and chase after that. We have some really good returners. Max Wicca won the league last year at 150. He's back as a senior. Santino Slipkovich is back. He's a senior. He was a runner-up in his weight class last year. And we have multiple placers back. We only lost 2 starters in our lineup last year. The hardest part about wrestling, honestly, is the kids grow.
Yeah.
So, when they come in, you got kids falling in the same weight classes. It's real difficult. But, we're, as time ticks by and, we get closer to our league tournament, which they moved this year. It's in the second week of January, not the last week. So we're 2 weeks earlier. So kind of got our backs against the wall here trying to peak out a little bit earlier for that tournament, but then not overly peak out and be prepared to get into sectionals come February.
From a standpoint of sport and wrestling, I mean, everybody has an expectation. They walk into that gym that you guys are going to walk away with trophies, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage that? How do you let kids know that it's a process?
Yeah, it's, so we basically preach to them that, everything that we do is a building block to the final block that goes in our building. And, I'm always pointing at one of the blocks in our wrestling room. I'm like, hey, we're still down here. We're still building there.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some success early. We have. We've placed in some tournaments. We toned the schedule down a little bit in year one. Well, we got rid of a couple of tournaments, and we got into some tournaments where we could be a little bit more competitive as we were rebuilding. But the schedule last year was just about back up. But this year it's even stronger.
Yeah.
So, we're there. We're going to compete. I'm not going to say we're not going to win a league title. Obviously, that's one of our goals. We're going to be chasing after that. But I think what a lot of people don't realize about our sport is there's 28 schools in our league. It's not as easy as people think. It's a very big league. So just because you don't have a lot of Division I schools in the league, you got a kid or two that come out of this district or this school and another couple there. Next thing you know, you don't see all your guys on the podium as you'd like. But, they bought in. We're very aggressive in the weight room. I mean, like I said, our numbers are through the roof right now. So it's good. Program's going the way that we had a couple hiccups, but we're back on track. It's doing really well. We're excited for this year's team.
This time of year can be very distracting for student athletes. They've got a lot going on anyway, but you add the holidays and you add trying to keep weight, things of that nature. How do you keep them locked in?
It's real difficult. There's a lot of discipline involved in it. A lot of people think that wrestling coaches starve their kids and tell them don't eat and this and that. And, that's another thing that we do. We educate the kids on proper eating, proper nutrition. So, today we came, it was, Spartans giving. It was great. Our kids are super disciplined. We were the last ones to go into the gym. We were the last ones to come in to eat. They understand that. It's very important that discipline has to carry on to everything that they do. They all had one plate, no seconds, no dessert, and and they know they're going to do that tomorrow. Yeah. So they're disciplined enough to wait. So, we educate them on the nutrition part. Generally, the weight loss happens naturally because it's such an aerobic sport. Yep. So you could eat the way you were eating prior to the season starting, but by the time we get to usually the end of December, the holidays, January 1, each kid loses 5 to 7 pounds of body fat. Yep. So it's kind of natural. We just let it take its natural course. The one thing we ask them is to take 2 weeks where they just don't eat any junk food. Yeah. No soda, no junk food. Let's see what happens. It's pretty. Some kids are excited. They get on. They're like, oh, I feel leaner. I feel lighter. So we like seeing that. And then there's those kids who are diehard wrestlers, and it's all they do. Yeah. And those are the kids where we sit down one-on-one. We talk to the parent usually, and we say, hey, they'd like to move down a weight class. It's a 6-pound move. Yeah. If we're not comfortable with it, last year we bumped 2 kids up. We told them, no, we're not doing that. But we, if the parents on board and the parents are working with us on their end, then we can make that happen. Yeah. But we're cautious with that. It's very important. I mean, these kids are growing. Yeah. They're like weeds. It's hard. Yeah.
Last question for you. Obviously, we're taping this the day before Thanksgiving. What are you thankful for this year?
I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here. I'm thankful for everything that I have, and I'm thankful for the good people I have around me. That always makes things great.
That's awesome. Yeah. Coach, thank you. Appreciate you so much. I
appreciate you.
Haiti.
Thank you, guys.
Ysn thanks you for watching this presentation